In this video, we're going to go through reviewing the Puppet Warp and also how to use the Liquify to change some things about me in this picture. So first of all, I want to use the Puppet Warp to take this arm that's outstretched and tilt it down a little bit more. I want it to be more parallel with my other arm. So we're going to go to Edit, Puppet Warp, and it gives me this grid. And remember, the pins that we put down hold two functions. They can pin things down or anchor them, but they can also allow you to move them. So I'm just going to spread some pins around the outside of my body down here because I don't want any of this to move. But the arm is what I do want to move, and I want it to pivot on my shoulder so that it looks realistic. So this crosshair right here is closest to my shoulder joint. So I'm going to put a pin there. That's where we'll rotate. Okay, if you remember, you can hold down the Alt key, and that gives you the rotation, and that can rotate where you want things to be. So notice I don't want to put any pins on the arm because what that's going to do is that it's going to prevent it from moving. So I'm going to use this to just rotate whatever I want it to go. Now see, that's a little bit better from where it was. Something about there. To accept any changes you make, press enter. Remember, you can also do other things. You can tilt your head a little bit more if you want. Remember, you select a pin, click on it to select it. You can hold Alt to rotate. So I can actually spin my head around. I don't want to do that. I'll undo that. So to accept my arm here, I'm just going to press enter. And you'll see how it does it in a very realistic way because we did enough pins and we're very smart about our pin location. So still looks good, but all I did was angle my arm differently. Okay, next we're going to do the Liquify. Liquify is an interesting tool. Same thing, you want to have your picture selected, and you're going to go to this one in the filters. So it is a filter, and you see right here, Liquify, and it opens a separate dialog box. Now in here, I've got several different tools. Okay, the forward warp tool, which is sort of almost like a paintbrush in a way, you're just pushing things around. The reconstruct tool, the pucker tool, which will make things collapse in on itself. The bloat tool, which will bloat things out and make it look a little bit fatter. And then you've got the push left tool and then the hand tool. So the ones I want you to really work with are the forward warp, the pucker, and the bloat if you need them. So with the forward warp tool, I've already identified an area that I want to work on, and it's this shirt. Okay, my shirt sticks out here, and I just don't like the way that looks. So what I want to do is sort of push that in as best I can. And this tool works well if you make the brush size bigger. So again, I like to use the brackets to make the brush size bigger. And with this, you'll notice that when I click and hold and push in, it warps things in that direction or warps them back. Okay, and it really gets kind of wacky, and you can see it almost looks and feels like liquid. That's the idea of the Liquify tool, but it works best in very small motions and kind of very subtle motions. So let me undo that. All right, and notice on the right side you also have, in addition to the size, you have pressure, that you can change the pressure of the brush so that it doesn't create such a crazy motion. So I'm going to just go down the side of this and see if I can just click and let go, click and let go. And notice how I'm pushing this in slowly, 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 a little bit at a time. And again, the bigger brush is allowing me to move larger sections of my shirt at a time. Now I don't want to go too far again because I don't want it to look unrealistic here. But I'm just trying to move it in a little bit more to make it look a little bit better down here so it's not hanging out so much. Now the problem is up here, it doesn't look right because we didn't affect this. So I'm going to have to sort of pinch this in as well to make it look like the shape of my body as best I can. Even though we know this isn't my body, it's more of the shirt, we want to do this. Now I'm going to make the brush a little bit smaller to get in to this armpit area. and just very slowly, very subtly, just warping in that side of the shirt. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I could come in and really sharpen this side up a little bit to make it look more like the shirt. Make it a little bit more angled, less perfect, because that's what it looked like before, right? You know your shirt is a little bit jumbled there. Now I want to bring this side back in, something like that. It is not looking too bad. Not looking too bad. All right. Now, that's all I really want to do to mine, but while we're in here, I'm going to show you a few other things, what you can do with these things. So for the pucker tool is when you want to sort of shrink things. So say, for instance, you want to shrink a muscle in your arm, or in this case, let's try to zoom in on my nose. Now, I like my nose, but let's just say I wanted to try to make it look a little bit smaller. I could use this pucker tool, and notice as I click, it pinches in. And it still looks kind of realistic. I mean, it's really amazing what it does. So I'm just going to undo that because I don't really want it. Now, if you go too far and you click and hold it too long, that's going to happen. And then you're going to end up with alien version of yourself, which you're welcome to do as an additional extra credit project if you want. So that's the pucker. Really helpful sometimes if you just want to tweak little things here and there. The next one is the bloat tool. This is the opposite of the pucker. It's going to bulge things out. So if you wanted to make your eyes bulge out a little bit, you would use this. And again, if I click and hold it too long, that's going to happen. We don't really want that right now. But if we just did it a little bit, just for a second, it kind of bulges your eyes out a little bit. See, that one went a little too far. I'll just do one click, right? You get the idea. All right, this one could also be used for muscles. If you make it really big, like this, say my whole bicep, I can do this to try to make it a little bit bulged out. But you can also do that with the first tool we were using. You can do something like this to move out the muscles in your arm to make it look a little wider, which is similar to one of the other tutorials that we watched. So this is the Liquify, and this is how it works. And I'm going to undo that arm there because I want to accept these changes. Okay, so once you're done here, you would press OK to accept all your changes, and it applies it to your picture. So you can notice that my shirt doesn't hang out quite as much and still looks pretty normal. And that is how to use the Liquify tool.